excited to have Donnie Maib join us this morning. He is the Assistant Athletic Director of Athletic Performance at the University of Texas at Austin. Hook 'em horns. Yep. And he, another way of saying that is he encourages people to excel athletically, and he does that through his training. One of the exciting things he gets to do, he gets to spend time with the national championship volleyball team, as well as men's tennis and some other sports in training and overseeing kind of their development athletically. And he is a husband and father to 4 daughters right here in Cedar Park, right? And so, Donnie, come share with us this morning. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah.
Well, good morning. Oh, yeah. Okay, there we go. Just making sure everybody was still awake. Craig, thank you for having me out. I think this is my fourth time being here, but really excited to be with you today. Like Craig said, I'm a coach by trade, and so you'll kind of hear that tone in my presentation today. It's a topic, as we get into it here in a second, a topic that is very familiar to me, not only dealing with athletes, but just dealing with my own personal adversities, trials, and tribulations that I've had to go through. Just a question before we get started. Has it been a tough year already? Raise your hand. Yeah, it has. I'm assuming. Hopefully today, this message, I have really one goal today, and hopefully to encourage and build you up. I'm hoping, and hopefully for some of you, challenge you, all right, in the situation you're in. The slide up here I want to start with, this is a true story. 1952, a woman by the name of Florence Chadwick. She was known for, it was an American female swimmer, she was known for swimming very long distances. In fact, so much so, she was the first female ever to swim the English Channel both ways. Very profound, amazing athlete. If you've ever swam in an ocean, I sink in the ocean, I don't swim, it's like a rock. But if you ever swam against current, that's a very powerful feat to do that. Well, she came up with this challenge here on 1952. She wanted to swim from the coast of California to a small island 26 miles off the coast called Catalina Island. Nobody had ever done that. She wanted to be the first. She had swam those distances before. She knew she could do it. But on this particular day, her first attempt, she sets out, and there were boats surrounding her because the waters were known to be shark infested. They were very cold, and it was dangerous conditions. About 15 hours into the swim, there's a heavy fog sets in, and she can't see. And her mom is in one of the boats, and she starts to talk, their dialogue, and she says, I don't think I can make it. So they encourage her to go a little further. She swims another hour. Finally exhausted and exasperated, she gives up, and they pull her into the boat. As they get her in the boat, she starts to kind of come back to her senses. She realizes, and they tell her she was 1 mile away from the island, just 1 mile. Frustrated and very discouraged, she kind of went back to work. 2 months later, she attempted the same swim from the coast of California to Catalina Island. Same thing happens. Fog sets in. This time, she accomplishes her goal. They interviewed her afterwards. Here's what she said. When the fog hit the second time, she said she kept the mental image and the goal of that coast, of that island, in her mind to keep her pressing forward. And so that's kind of what I want to do with you today. Are you in a situation where the fog has set in and you just can't see anything, right? And I just want to encourage you today. The title of my talk is There's Light at the End of the Tunnel. That's a cliche saying for there's help is on the way, hope is coming. And here's what I found by and large, all right? Every person, athlete, friend, myself, we tend to quit right before the blessing. That's when it gets the hardest. That's when you get hit with The car breaks down. The house has problems. Your best friend walks out on you. The check you were counting on doesn't come through. Everything seems to crash. That's that fog, right? That's coming and it's crashing down on you, and you really want to give up. You really want to give up. The theme today is, it is so important, just like Florence. It is so important that when it's the hardest in your life, do not quit and give up. Your breakthrough is right around the corner. If all hell is fallen loose in your life, and forgive me for saying that, but if it's just breaking loose, you're so close to your breakthrough. Your darkest hours will be what? Followed by your brightest day. It's coming. I've seen it again, and that's when it's the hardest. That's when it's the hardest. So hopefully today, that's what I want to, it's so important that you don't quit before your breakthrough. Question. Is it going to come up? There's my little guy. Have you felt like giving up lately? Raise your hand. Have you felt like giving up? Be honest. It's all right. I've thought about quitting before. I just can't hold on any longer, right? My little fella up there, Ralph. I just feel like I'm hanging on by a thread. If you're that person right now, you're in a good place because you're going to get that breakthrough. Again, my kind of goal today is just to hopefully a little recharge. Let's see where I'm at here. Oh, here we go. Got to see where I'm at on my pages here. A little recharge. One of my favorite scriptures, again, if your battery is running low, hopefully today I'm gonna put a little juice in there. Plug it in. You know, you got those little portable ones you can just, man, I just need a little touch. I need just a little taste, a little up, a little, okay, I'm good now. I'm not going to try to make you feel like you can walk on water today. That's not the goal. I just want a little uplift. Because that's really think about Florence. That's all she needed. She had 1 mile. What if she would have known the first time she had 1 mile? You think she would have quit? There's no way she would have quit. No way. If I could show you that you're just inches away, you're just days away, just moments away from your breakthrough, you would pick it up. You get a new pep in your step. You get a song back in your heart. You would carry yourself differently. But you know what? That fog is set in. It's my man right here. Right? It's like his name should be like Urkel or something, right? Sorry if anybody's name's Urkel in here, but Proverbs 24:10 says what? If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. If you faint, notice it didn't say if you quit. It says if you faint. Where do we faint? In our mind. The battlefield is the mind. If you think bad, negative, horrible, that's the hard thing about. I'm sure you don't have a job. It's just the thoughts. You wake up every morning, your thoughts are just right there with you because all you can see is bad. If you faint in the day of what? Adversity, not in the day of success. It's when hard times hit. Your strength is small. So if you're struggling right now, so I'm a strength coach. Guess how I find out if you're strong or not? It's pretty simple. Oh, you picked up that weight for 6 reps? Oh, go to the next weight, 5 more pounds. Oh, you got that for 6? 5. Oh, there's your weak point. All right, you know what? We're gonna go down a set. We're gonna work on that weight and get really good at that. And pretty soon, guess what? The weight you couldn't lift, now we can lift. And that's the way, again, spiritually, when you are weak and struggling, there's a weak point there. You got to push through that weak point. You got to attack a weak point in your life. You can't run from it. Running from weaknesses doesn't help you at all right? Great book by Tim Keller. He talks about the cultures of suffering today. And the book it's a horrible title for a book, but the book is absolutely outstanding. But it's called Walking with God Through Pain and Suffering. The book is a terrible title. I don't know why they called it that, but he talks about this culture that we have in America. Here's the problem in America. Here's why I'm going to give you the whole book. It's about a 300-something page book. I'm going to give you the book in a nutshell. We really struggle in America the most than any other country on the planet because of one reason. We seek pleasure and entertainment as our high goal in America. When you do that, he talks about our perspective of how we view adversity and suffering and trial is way off course. And that you can get a lot of good from that. And that's what we do in America. We view it as what? It's really just an interruption. We try to manage it and lessen it. Well, I need to go get counseling. I need to go get fit. I need to go get the program to get me through this bad situation, right? You want to avoid negative thoughts. Your highest goal is prevent it. And it's all up to us. That's the big thing. There could be nothing more further than the truth in your situation right now that it's not just up to you. It may feel like it sometimes. Let me ask you a question. Again, me being in sports, what do you do with injured athletes? Do any of you guys know what happens when they get injured? Do we just go stick them in a closet, turn the lights off, and keep them isolated? What do you think? Help me out. What do you think we do? So, okay, rehab, what does that mean though? Keep them moving. But guess what? When we have an injured athlete, that rehab involves a significantly large team that comes around that athlete to what? Support, encourage, challenge, and push them beyond their pain. You have a therapist, a physical therapist that prescribes exercises. They have a doctor that gives them checkups of where they are on their timeline to get back to recovery. They have a strength coach even though, hey, that one leg is broke, but guess what? 1, 2, 3, the other 3 limbs work, baby. Let's go. This ain't laying around in the bed just watching paint dry and watch Netflix, right? And on top of that, they go see mental health. The biggest hot topic in sports today is mental health. Because why? Kids today can't handle it. And when they've realized that a big part of you getting well is not just the physical piece, it's what? It's the mental piece. It's the spiritual piece. I almost could bet most of you guys struggling it's right here between your ears is where you're struggling the most. And you'll see that here in a second. So again, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to give you 3 power phrases. Again, please, if you don't like sports and coaching, I'm so sorry. Craig brought me in today. Please forgive me in advance. That's just who I am. But I'm going to give you 3 phrases today, power phrases, that hopefully recharge and reboot your mission. All right? Number 1. What is it? Don't quit. Don't quit. Oh, it's so important when the load is the heaviest and you can't go further. Just don't quit. Let me tell you this. Anybody can do anything for one more time. You can take one more step. You can do one more job application. You can go network one more time. You can say one more prayer. That's the key to your breakthrough. It's just like we got a term in coaching, just keep chopping wood. You got a big tree, you just keep swinging that axe, right? You just keep one stroke, you just keep hitting it one at a time. And I'll tell you, you may have to take breaks, you get tired, but you just keep chopping wood. Don't quit now. One of my favorite quotes is by Charles Spurgeon. It says this, by perseverance, the snail reached the ark. Think about that. By perseverance, the snail got his rear end, little slimy butt on that ark. Now think about Noah. If you know the story, he's gathering all the animals. Cheetah was the first one in the gazelle on the boat. Let's go. Where are we going, baby? Where are we going? God's going to send rain. No, you need to pick this. We need to get these animals on this bus, and we need to go. Calm down. We're waiting on the snail. Calm down. 2 days, 3 days go by, it's starting to rain a little bit. No, we got to shut this door. It's time to roll. Snail ain't on yet. What did the snail do? He just kept coming. By perseverance, the snail reached the ark. Many of you need to do this. You need to be just like a stamp. Stick to your purpose until you reach your destination. You got to have that stick-to-itiveness. Love this quote here. The most common trait, Peter Lowe talks about this, I have found in successful people is what? They have conquered. They have destroyed and beaten down what? The temptation within themselves to what? To give up. Peter Lowe. They've conquered the temptation. How many of you realize that when you want to quit, that's really a test? It's a temptation to quit and give up. Those of you who said, man, I felt like giving up lately, you're being tempted right now because there's something big out there for you. And that fog is coming down on you hard, the darkness, and you can't see. Don't give up yet. But coach, it's just taking forever. The hardest thing when we deal with injured athletes, like I was talking about, they struggle with depression. They struggle with discouragement. They get isolated from the team. They're not in their normal routines, right? They're not around their normal group of peers. And the biggest thing I do to them, I start talking about, well, next season, when you get on that court, when you get on that field, you're going to do this. I start what? Preaching vision to them. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be mightier. There's going to be more fortitude in your soul. There's going to be a stronger character. You're going to be better for your teammates if you just make it through this season. So what do you do when it's quiet? Let me ask you this. Do you have a daily structure? You don't have a job? Create one like you have one. What time you get out of bed in the morning? If you're staying up late and getting out, you're going to be discouraged because you don't have structure. That's one thing about our jobs is it helps us, what? Keep a routine. Do you have structure? Be a blessing. There's a book out there, it's called How to Be Miserable by the Time You're 40. Guess what the number one point in the book is? Just think about yourself all day long. Just think about yourself. Go be a blessing to somebody. If you have time on your hands, be a blessing to your neighbor. Be a blessing to somebody at the supermarket. Get involved in a nonprofit. You got a little window there. Go and give back. It is more blessed to give than into. If you're waiting to hear back from jobs, find structure and be a blessing. Build yourself up. How do you do that? I don't know. What kind of music do you like? Play music. Go talk to a friend. Go for a walk. Go watch nature. What is it that, and here's how you build yourself up. What gives you life? Well, coach, I don't have a lot of money. I know, but you got to be creative. You got to find some way to build yourself up. And then lastly there is avoid, again, the mental flabbiness. What is that? Just the hardest thing when you're struggling is you get off. You just start thinking weird, crazy thoughts that you normally wouldn't think. That's a sign. When you're thinking crazy thoughts, like I want to slap this person in the cashier right now because I just don't feel like dealing with them. I just want to slap them right across the head. That's mental flabbiness. Coach, I'm frustrated. I know you are, but your mind is what? Got to a place where you're not thinking. You're thinking cray-cray thoughts. Crazy. Don't be thinking cray-cray thoughts, right? Think good, healthy thoughts. I love the story of the two frogs that, again, just a picture of determination and willpower and not quitting, right? We're talking about don't quit. Just do it. Don't quit. They were out hopping along the woods and they came across this farm. And they went into this kitchen in this farm, and as they were hopping around, they fell into this big vat of cream. And at first, man, they thought, oh, man, this is the lottery. They started drinking the cream and lapping it up and just belly full. And then they realized that they got to keep swimming. Nobody's going to get them out. So they take off. Both frogs are swimming. And the one frog starts getting negative. There's no way we're going to make it. Nobody's ever going to save us. We're just going to die. This is a waste of time. But the other frog didn't listen to him. He just kept swimming. Eventually, the one frog that was just in disdain just stopped swimming and fell to the bottom and drowned. Well, the other frog kept swimming. And as he kept swimming, he just started believing, somebody's going to come save me. I'm going to get out of this thing somehow. And right when he got exhausted and he started to quit, he realized, he put his foot down, and all of a sudden his foot was on something hard. And he swam so long and so hard, he had turned that cream into butter. It started getting hard. What he ended up doing, he hopped out of the bucket and hopped away. What was it? He didn't quit. He didn't quit. There's so much good that can come out of our adversity and trials, right? For we know, it says what? That God works all things together for good for those who love him, right? Romans 8:28. I love that scripture. So point number one was what? Don't quit. Point number two, one of my favorites. Dig deep. Coach, what do you mean by that? You got more in you than you realize. I just read a book it's called Peak Performance. They have done research. This is current research on the physical body. And what your body does, when you start getting tired, your body sends chemicals to the muscles and back to the brain that it's getting hard. It's actually sending out signals to mass to get you to stop working. The body has so much more reserve in it. You can take more than you realize you can, but you got to dig deep. You got to dig a little deeper. You got to believe a little harder. You got to take one more step, right? You got to believe for one more moment. You got to reach out one more time. I got to climb that mountain one more step. You got to dig deep. You got to find a way to win. That's one of the favorite things I love. Hey, there's times, man, everything is going against you. You got to find a way to get this thing done. Find a way. There's a book out there called, I love to read books. If you hear me talk, I love this reference. There's a book called Adversity Quotient. And I can't remember the author's name, but if you type it in, it'll come up. And so what they're finding today is that your IQ is what? How smart you are. But what they're finding today is just because you have a high IQ doesn't mean you have a high what? AQ, adversity quotient. Your adversity quotient is your ability to handle adversity. How long before you actually quit and give up and walk out? Think about that in relationships. You ever met people that just bail out at the first sign of trouble? How many good friends you think they got? Not very many. If you're going to have good relationships, there's going to be trouble. Everybody say, amen, right? I'm going to cause some trouble. Right? There's going to be conflict. There's going to be sparks. And you're going to have to work through that. Where's my married folks? There's going to be some sparks. It's going to be some adversity, right? Everybody's looking for what? What's the easy way? I want the relationship that doesn't challenge me and make me a better man or a better woman. I want that relationship. That's where we're headed. So there's 3 types of people in life. There's quitters. Now, there's not one quitter in the room right here, because quitters you don't see. They're the derelicts of life. They just bail out on you. They walk out. There's not a quitter in this room, but there could be a camper in here. A camper is a quitter, but they got the outfit on. They got the hot dog on the fire. They're not going forward and they're not going backward. They just camped out. I'm not trying to, Coach, I haven't quit. No, you're not. You didn't leave, but you camped. Because you're either green and growing or you're ripe and rotten. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. Which one is it? There ain't no eat. Sorry, ladies, but my coach always tell me this. Excuse me, but he'd say, you can't be partially pregnant, Maib. Well, I'm kind of pregnant. No, you're either pregnant or you're not. Meaning, you're either going to be on the team or you're off the team. Which one is it? Are you committed or you're not committed? Right? We dig deep. But my favorite one is what? Climbers. Climbers are interesting. They're individuals. You take them, you put them in the pit, they're coming out. You look at Joseph in the Bible. Think about what he went through. Brothers took him, sold him into what? Slavery. They threw him in the pit first, slavery, went to Potiphar's house, falsely accused, went to prison. What did he do? He climbed out to the top of the, and you're going to see in your life, and we're going to get to this at the end, but sometimes your life is upside down. That's the way God works. The fact that you're going down means you're getting close to your breakthrough. And that's where you get twisted in your head. So quitters, campers, and you could take a camper, and I could take that, a climbing vine, you put it down low, it climbs high. You take a creeping vine, you put it up high, guess what the creeping vine does? It goes down. So you take people, and you can win the lotto, they can be up here, they're coming straight back down. Because what? They're campers, they're not climbers. Put this candle up here for a reason. There's another book that is phenomenal, and it changed my life, but it's called The Fire of Unanswered Prayers. And I think the guy's name is, I think Borg or something, I can't remember, but The Fire of, it's either delayed or unanswered, I can't remember, but in the book he talks about when you're going through a trial, okay, listen to this. The hottest part of the flame on a candle is the part that's invisible. You can't see it. The hardest part for you in a trial is going through things and nothing's changing. It seems like it's just staying the same. That is the hottest part of your trial and your tribulation, is when things get just nothing's going on. You ever seen this before, right? Again, going back to digging deep. It's all about your perspective, how you view things in life. How do you view things? I'm going to show you this next slide, but there's another book. I'm giving you lots of books here. It's called The Happiness Advantage by Sean Acorn. Insane, awesome book. That's my number one book. If you haven't read The Happiness Advantage, they're doing a lot of research on happiness, just in work and in life. The book talks about, in the research, that a lot of people are wanting to be successful first, then they'll find happiness. But all the research is showing the opposite. You got to be happy first, then success comes second. So we've got it backwards in America, right? So they did a study, a blind study, and they brought people in, they polled them. And they told them this, they said, you go to a bank in the middle of the day, and there's 50 people in the bank, and you're making a transaction. The day you go in to make a transaction, a bank robber comes, and your bank shoots one bullet, and it hits you. Are you lucky, or are you unlucky? What do you think about 90% of the people said, and they live. When you get shot, you live. Are you lucky or unlucky? What do you think? You the one person that got shot. What do you think they said? Unlucky, right? Bad luck. What they learned from that study, watch this. Every human being from your brain has the ability to create what they call a counterfact. What is a counterfact? It's something you cook up in your crazy head to view as, man, why did I have to get shot with the bullet? Why couldn't my ex-husband get shot with the bullet? He was in there too. He's the one deserved to get shot, not me. Not the fact that, what if he would have shot 50 bullets and all 50 would have died? No, you got shot, you lived, it was a flesh wound. You were lucky. Again, you have, in your situation, I can guarantee you, your perspective of how you view, you're seeing the negative, the ugly and the bad of your situation. But I can guarantee you there's a silver lining in the cloud somewhere in your situation. But you can't see it, right? My favorite time in Christmas is It's a Wonderful Life, that movie, George C. Bailey. It took him doing what? To go through adversity, to have somebody come show him a glimpse of his life, of what it would be like without him. Do you realize how many people your life touches? There's people watching you go through adversity right now that you are encouraging them through their situation, but they're not telling you. Because it's what? It's not about me. Say it's not about me. That's the hardest thing about athletes is when they're going through something hard. It's not about you. It's about the team. It's about your community. It's about your family. It's about your friends, right? It's about your neighbors. That's why you're going through what you're going through. It's not for you right now. But in your little counterfact I got shot. It's terrible. I got bad luck, right? No, you're blessed. Blessed. Another book for you. This one is probably his second favorite. It's called Where's God When It Hurts by Philip Yancey. All right? It's a book on the thesis of pain. Again, we're on point 2. What am I talking about? Dig deep. Go deeper. You've got more in you. So in the book, he goes and he does research on several people groups. He studies a leper colony. He spends a year with them. You know why lepers die? I never had any idea. The book was fascinating. You know why lepers die? They don't die from leprosy. Leprosy attacks the nerves where they can't feel anything. They lose all feeling. So they die from what? Because they're in an isolated colony, they'll get bit by a rat at night. They'll bleed to death. They'll step on a sharp object. They don't feel it. They bleed to death. So leprosy is about what? Not being able to feel pain. That's what kills them, not the disease itself. So your pain, that you don't numb the pain, embrace it. Embrace going through that. He goes and he studies next. He studied 2 families. Went through identical situations. Both families had sons about the same age that were paralyzed from the neck down. One family completely devastated them, shattered them, divorced, marriage problems, financial problems, kids just shattered. Other family flourished. They got stronger, became a better family because of it. What was it? How they handled pain. He went and studied, he spent another year in New York City, and he was in a group of people of terminally ill. And he would come once a week and they would meet. And this group of people, he said he is never in the book, he talked about, I've never seen a group of people that have their priorities aligned. I have this terminally ill group. Because they knew every Sunday when somebody was missing, guess what? They died. So they made sure their time counted. When I talk about creating structure, what are your priorities? Are they in line? Are they out of misalignment? And then the last thing he studied was Viktor Frankl. If you know Viktor Frankl, he's the famous psychologist that studied and helped a lot of the Holocaust survivors that Hitler had tortured, that they had lived through that horrific time period. And Viktor Frankl went over, and what he did was he went over during his time, he wanted to go visit all the survivors of the Holocaust. In his mind, he was looking forward to meeting people that were struggling. They were the low levels in life. They weren't doing very well financially, right? He was expecting to see a people beat down, discouraged, and just worn out on life. He gets over it and starts interviewing them. He found out this. They weren't struggling. They were flourishing. They were successful, and they were doing great. What was it? How they handled pain. And this is his quote. Everything can be taken from man, but one thing, right? The last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. If you have a horrible attitude right now in your situation, that's on you, big baby. Everybody say it's on me. You are choosing, you're making a choice to have stinking thinking in your life right now. That's why nobody wants to be around you. Everybody knows you're struggling in your career right now. But you're making a choice to have a horrible, terrible attitude, and your situation probably won't change until you change that. You change your attitude, your life will start to slowly turn around. I'm not saying you might get a job. At least your life, you'll be in a happier spot, right? So Viktor Frankl, a great quote. So first point was what? Help me out. Yes. That wasn't from that book though, Man's Search for Meaning. The quote may be in it, but that was Viktor Frankl. The book that I talked about was Philip Yancey, Where is God When It Hurts? So first point was what? Don't quit. Second one was what? Dig deep. And our last point today is draw near. There's an element of when you go through trials that, again, I don't know, there may be some people in here that you don't have a faith, you don't believe in God or in Christ. I'm not here to offend you or whatever, but there's an element of trial and adversity, I always feel like there's a purpose to the pain. When I work with athletes, I cause them pain on purpose. Now, I enjoy it. God's not like that. He doesn't enjoy it, but I enjoy causing them pain. Why am I causing them pain? Because I'm getting them ready for what? A bigger stage. So to keep it simplistic, I'm telling you, sometimes when you go through adversity, God's training you for reigning. It's training for reigning. He's working on you, right? There's this exterior side of you, but there's also, that's your outer life we all see, but there's this inner life that God is way more concerned about than how much money you make, what kind of car you drive, what kind of house He's worried about your inner life. That's where the real magic happens, is your inner life. Little Bible trivia here for you. What came first? Was it daytime or nighttime? If you read in the book of Genesis, what came first? Nighttime. Exactly. So watch this. Every season in your life that's new, when God is starting a new season, He always starts in darkness. There was evening, then it says what? There was morning the first day. There was evening and morning the second day. And He keeps going. He starts, every new season in your life will always start in darkness. How do you think we perceive it? As negative. But don't quit. Because what? The morning is coming. If you just don't quit like Florence at the beginning, you're 1 mile from the island. Keep swimming. Don't quit. Love this scripture in the book of Samuel. If you study the life of David, right before he becomes king, he goes through probably one of the most challenging seasons of his life. This is before he fell into sin and lost everything. But he was in a battle, and his men, they had gone out to fight this battle, and they'd come back, the enemy had come in and taken all the men's children and wives and all their belongings. And they were so mad at David that they had let him down. They were going to kill David. He was about to be done. And this scripture is him doing what? But David did what to him? He encouraged himself in the Lord. You've got to find some spiritual strength. When you're going through something that's physically challenging, you've got to overcome that supernaturally. You've got to fill that tank up, right? You've got to do that. Nehemiah 8:10 says what? For the joy of the Lord is your strength. I love this picture. What if that was your joy container? Is yours empty right now? Is it pretty low? Refill it, right? When you lose your joy, for the joy of the Lord is what? Your strength. When you lose your joy, you lose your strength. If you're not smiling, if you're not happy, I remember I did this, read this article on this one guy had been in a hospital for a long time and just wasn't, he was trying the medicine, he was trying all the stuff there, but it wasn't working. So he finally took it to his own hands, and he realized he was just depressed and so they got him out of a different environment. He started watching funny movies and laughing more. He got better really quick. Why? Because he started enjoying life again, right? And if we let our lives be dictated because of where we're at currently, again, going back to like Viktor Frankl, choosing your good attitude is the key, right? That's the big thing there. 4 ways, I read a book, again, Arthur Pink, he talks about spiritual growth, but there are 4 ways trees grow, 4 ways. Trees grow down, the roots go down, all right? Branches can go up. The tree can grow in circumference, but there's a 4th way. The trees actually increase the volume of sap within the tree. Interesting thing, the only season, right, in the spring, roots go down, branches go out, right? But it's the winter time, it's in the winter when it's quiet and cold and there's no activity that the sap inside increases. Why is it doing that? It's preparing for what? Future growth. So don't die in your winter season. There's many of you in here, you're probably in a winter season, it sounds like. Winter seasons are not fun. They're lonely, they're cold, there's not a lot going on. And God, again, He's doing what? A work on the inside of you, and it can be tough sometimes. I get it to go. There will be silence in a winter season. That's okay, right? That's okay. Right now, I have 4 daughters. We don't have silence I'm not in a silent season right now. I got 2 teenagers and one about to be, no, I got 3 teenagers, so it ain't silent in my house. If I want silence, I got to get up before the feet hit the floor in the morning or stay up a little bit past bed. But the hardest time is when you are going through this season and it's so important. You really need to hear God. You need to hear what's he speaking into your life for this season. Is there anything, the season you just came out of, is there anything you just came out of? Is there some offense in that season? Did somebody hurt you? Is there some betrayal and bitterness? Is there some relationships there that have been broken? Are there some health issues you need to address right now? And see, we like to stay busy so we can't hear. But once sometimes it says, remember in the book of Psalms, it said, he maketh me to what? Lie down in green pastures. Sometimes God makes us to lay down and be quiet and be still. What? Because he wants to speak to you. And sometimes we just don't want to hear it, but if we'll just get in that silent season and really make that time to what? Draw near to God, right? Submit yourselves to God. Draw near to him and he'll draw near to you. So use that season of quietness in the winter and use that to do what? Get stronger. Use that season to be rebuilt, to be refreshed, to sharpen the edge in your life. It's gotten dull. You just don't realize it. I love visuals. Proverbs 4:23 says what? Above all else, guard your heart, for out of it flow what? The issues of life. Again, it's not about the exterior a lot of times in these seasons. It's about what's going on in the inside. Just a quick little thing here. We're near the end, but what do all these products have in common? Does anybody know? They have one thing in common. What? Yep. Every one of them was a failure at first. FedEx was a C-, I think. Fred Smith did a term paper, and this professor gave him a C. Crazy, isn't it? Ivory soap was an accident. It was supposed to be, forget what it was supposed to be used for, but it ended up floating, and they used it for soap. It was total failure. Monopoly was rejected multiple times before. Now it's the number 1 selling board game in the world now. The light bulb, Thomas Edison, how many times did he fail doing that? And I love that 409 is my favorite. Why? Why do they call it 409? Because it was 409 times before he got the formula right. But that was ingenious, wasn't it? So again, how many times is it going to take you to get where you're going, right? Don't quit. Dig deep. Draw near, right? Florence. You got 1 more mile, 1 more step to go. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but the way with God is what? The way up is down. So don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged if everything's getting worse right now. I know that's hard to probably fathom or swallow, but if things are getting worse, you're getting close. You're getting close. So close. I was recently, we've become we need our phones, don't we? I had a funny story happen. I was thinking about this talk. I was in Tennessee and I was doing a wedding and I was visiting my sisters. And I'm from Tennessee, but I was in the area of Nashville. I don't know where I was at. So I had my phone on me and I've got my little rental car and I'm out in the middle of the woods. It's dark late at night and my GPS crashed on me. What? You talk about scared. I don't know where I'm at. I'm like, I literally pulled over on the side of the road, put the flashlight on. I don't know what to do. What have we come to, people? What's wrong with us today? So I'm thinking, okay, I had to literally, in my mind, all right, I got a plan. I'm going to go into this quick store up here, and I'm going to get a napkin out. I'm like, can you tell me how, you go down here to the barn, you're on the right, the red barn, once you pass that barn, take a right, that first road. If you go to the old church, you went too far, turn around and go back, right? GPS, global positioning system. I show you that because what? I like to say it's God's positioning system. If you feel like me, you're lost. You're not. Guess what? If you do get lost, guess what? God will find you. You'll be fine. He's got a GPS. You done strayed. Oh, look at little Donnie. He done strayed off over here. His little GPS crashed. And I'm over here. I don't know where I'm at. Lost, blind. And God's saying what? No, I'm going to get you back on the right track. Now, you may not like it. When you go the wrong direction sometimes, the way back can be a little off. But you ever get lost like that and you finally get to, that night I got lost, I finally got to a place, I pulled up my map. It still showed me where I was at, but it wouldn't give me directions. I knew I needed to go that direction. So I just kept going until I ran into something familiar. And finally, there was a moment when I came into this opening. I was downtown Nashville. I go, I-65, baby, I'm good. Yes, I know where I'm at now. So sometimes as you're going through those dark seasons and you look lost, God's got you right where he wants you. You feel lost, but man, you don't realize how close you're going. You don't realize how close you are. So I'm going to close with a story, but again, just to review, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's so important. Don't quit before you get your breakthrough, right? 3 points or what? See if you can recall them to me. Thank you. Those are your 3 points today. Don't quit, dig deep, and draw near. Last story, and we're done. I love this story. Again, just a parable about the importance of not quitting. There was a farmer that lived out on a huge piece of land, and there was an old abandoned well he had left dormant. One of his old faithful mules was getting close to dying. And he had not put a fence around this well. And the old mule had kind of stumbled across and fell into this deep abandoned well. So the old farmer hears him out there hee-hawing and all upset. So he comes and sees him and he says, man, I don't have the equipment to get him out. But I don't want him to suffer and die in there. So he had a thought. He goes, instead of him just letting him suffer, I'm going to just go ahead. He's old. He's been faithful. And I just want to put him to his misery quick. And so he goes and gets wheelbarrows and he starts just burying him alive. He's just going to suffocate and just put him out of his misery. Well, as he's doing this, he's throwing this big clumps of dirt in there. He keeps hearing this weird noise, but he just keeps going. And before you know it, this donkey starts making this loud noise. And he notices he finally he's throwing that dirt on his back, and every time he would, the donkey would that big clump of mud or dirt would hit him, and he would shake off that mud, and he would just step up on top of it. He'd throw that on there, and he'd shake it off, and he would step it up. And he kept doing this for hour after hour until eventually he shook off the mud, shook off the dirt, and he stepped out onto flat ground. So it's a parable for us. As life beats you down, shake it off and step it up. What you're going through today, you feel like it's been a rough season. You just can't take, yes, you can. Shake off the mud and step it up. Don't quit. Dig deep and draw near. If you'd like to connect, there's my contact information. Thank you for your time. Y'all have a blessed day.